Hello and welcome to the Moncast.
A podcast where twice a week we watch Pokemon and Digimon in tandem and discuss the similarities and differences that they share.
My name's Sam.
And I'm Stevie.
And the score currently stands at 5-3 to Pokemon. And this time we're watching episode 9, The School of Hard Knocks and Subzero Ice Punch.
Now it's Admonistration, and we got a few messages in, and they're all from different places this week.
Oh, that's good.
We got one from With the Will, one from Twitter, and one from Facebook. How many from Tumblr, though?
Shush! Okay, we mentioned earlier, basically no one touches the Tumblr. And that's fine, I understand that. Tumblr's not the best.
The first message we got from Fecksmith on With the Will, who it turns out is actually Alexandre, who messaged us on Soundcloud in the first episode.
Oh, okay, that's pretty cool.
They are one and the same. So they said, hey, so first off, I won't give feedback every episode because listening in at least 1 hour chunks fits my schedule more. And to be honest, that's probably better for us anyway because we only record feedback every other episode. So it fits in perfectly. Say the main point today, though, is that they think the podcast could improve if you both looked at the episodes more broadly, especially when comparing it. You seem to focus on the plot and main visuals, but I think it'd be interesting if you compared things like pacing, act structure, conciseness, balance between supporting and main characters, whether the soundtrack helps or hinders each episode, stuff like that. Wouldn't have to discuss all that every time, but when they seem more relevant.
I think that's really good feedback, especially when you mentioned the bit about the plot.
Yeah, like the act structure.
Yeah, that's the one, because I went straight to thinking about how Pokemon has a sort of go-to cookie-cutter structure of find a person with the Pokemon of the day, they'll have a problem, Ash and the gang help them solve the problem, and then Team Rocket appear, and the Pokemon of the day defeats Team Rocket with Pikachu. And then Digimon has the new big monster of the week, and then it'll be whoever's turn it is to do the next level of thing, fighting the monster of the week. So there's two sort of similar structures that they both have, and it'd be nice to see if they ever deviate from them and stuff. I definitely think I'm going to take some more spurious notes, because looking especially for this episode, I wasn't well when I watched this episode and took notes for it. For what I like about one of the episodes, it's about 3 lines. I know there's more that I like in it.
Mono a Mono, I think it's always been the briefest segment, apart from the introductions and outros, obviously. So we could probably compare the episodes more if we put more time into it.
I think it would definitely be worth considering and talking about, and trying to beef up Mono a Mono a little bit, especially by having these go-to keystones where like you have these same things you talk about each episode. So we can have them sort of there, and we can say, okay, what do you think about the pacing in this episode for both of them and stuff. I think it'd be quite good. I like these ideas.
Like we say, we're supposed to discuss similarities and differences, and then we only discuss similarities.
We say a lot of things for this podcast, and most of the time it's just us getting angry at something.
They also say it pains them to listen to discussions of the American dub when there are so many better versions, especially when talking about Sora or Mimi, whose characters get obliterated in the dub.
They do.
Yeah, it's just a shame that we're not Japanese and we prefer English, because it's our first languages.
I do like subs, but it requires a lot more focus on my part, especially taking notes and everything, knowing sort of how the episode goes and sort of having a general idea of the episode structure. It gives me time to look at all those animation errors that have apparently become a thing that I find. I'd love to watch the Japanese versions, but we have other podcasts that exist that watch like the Japanese version of Digimon.
That's where Fecksmith found us, I think.
Well, yeah, Lost in Translation, it's amazing.
Last paragraph. It's pretty fun to hear you both talk, you share of chemistry, and the segment about both franchises' origins was very interesting. You're getting better each episode, keep it up. They liked your segment, Sam. You did good.
I did a good segment.
And moving on to the next thing, which is from Twitter, so it's not quite as long. @Kathvarsis says, shout out to the Moncast for teaching me the anti-crow helmet in Mary and Max is based on a real Australian thing, and for being a great podcast. It's like the grown-up version of so many playground arguments.
Thank you, that's really cool. Yeah, I think I saw it on TV at some point. I was watching something. I don't know. I'm going to say Kath and Kim because it's the Australian thing that I know. But I'm sure I saw somewhere someone had a bird helmet on, and that's what got me asking what it was.
Yeah, we talked about that way back in episode 1, so I'm assuming this person's a new listener. I went to MCM and told a few people about the podcast, and I'm guessing they spread the word to some of the friends that would be interested.
We have swag now as well. It's great.
Yeah, we've got keychains.
And they're amazing. It's the only keychain I have on my keys.
Yeah, I was just showing it to anyone that I saw that was a Digimon fan. or a Pokemon fan. So like anyone in cosplay, I was just, if I got in a room with them, I could have a chat with them. It's like, hey, you might be interested in my podcast.
It's great because we're like, there's two warring armies, Pokemon and Digimon, and we're the two people stood in the middle of these armies.
And on to the last message we got, which was from Quad Vesper on Facebook, who messaged us like a few episodes ago. This time they said, so does it mean myth busted Digimon had better anime series than Pokemon? And then they do clarify, what I mean is usually people around the internet say Digimon has the better anime series than Pokemon. And I, of course, said, we've got like 300 episodes to watch, and I think at the end of the day, really, it comes down to personal preference anyway.
Pokemon has some very filler episodes. The filler's okay, but it sort of doesn't fall back on the same sort of plot that Digimon has, because Digimon has filler episodes and some repetitive episodes. But I feel like when Digimon doesn't follow these sort of set things, they seem to be really good episodes. And Pokemon, like this week, I have questions about the Pokemon episode because it is basically filler. It's not like we're all completely one-sided on this podcast. We have given, like, Pokemon's got 5 at the moment, which is a couple more than Digimon has, score-wise. But I think that number will probably even out further on. I mean, like you said before, Stevie, that at some point we're going to get tired of seeing the same sort of thing with Ash again and again and again and again. And I do think that it'll be nice to see season 2, maybe season 3, when we've gone to a new set of people and we're still with Ash doing a new set of things. Because you have this precision-based hatred for Ash, and he is half of a show.
That hate was only developed in episode 8. Yeah, looking back at what we've given the points to so far, Digimon's won when it's done something for the first time. Like, it was the birth of Greymon and Evil shows his face. Or when it's just done something weird or done it in a more interesting way than Pokemon did its episode. So it was Kabuterimon's Electroshocker, which won its 3rd point.
Like, apart from the Greymon episode, I don't really think about the other episodes that we talk about as favourites, but yeah, they've got to be some of my favourite episodes of this arc at least.
I think Pokemon's just more consistent with its filler's quality. I think that's everything for the Admonistration, so it's time to move on to the actual episode. The first episode we are watching this time is The School of Hard Knocks.
Ash, Misty and Brock find themselves at a school for the extremely wealthy and the extremely stuck up, where kids are playing the Pokemon video games instead of going out and having the actual adventures themselves. They meet the least stuck up of them all, a young boy called Joe, whose friends are forcing him to answer questions whilst doing strenuous things like running on a treadmill. It turns out that Joe actually knows all the answers to the questions, but is pretending not to know, otherwise the questions would get harder, just like in real education. They also meet Giselle, the most stuck up of the lot, who acts all smug towards Pikachu, then decides to battle it with a Pokemon that has an immunity to electric attacks. After Pikachu manages to win, she learns that she shouldn't be so judgmental and is suddenly a nice person because of this one battle and learns the power of friendship.
What was something you liked about this episode?
I'm not sure what was really happening at the start of this episode, but they seem to do a lot of really anime cutaway things, and I thought that was pretty nice. There's the one scene with lines around them and stuff.
Yeah, I noticed the animation and the art style seemed a bit different.
Like, they seem to do it at a couple episodes. They sort of have this sort of slightly more wacky opening where they're all hitting each other with mallets or giant heads shouting at each other and stuff, and they don't seem to do it later on in the episode. It just seems to be at this start of the episode.
I like how Brock just whips everything out of his bag.
That bag is amazing.
It's a magic bag. Brock is just Mary Poppins, isn't he? But more perverted.
Moving on.
Other things. Let's see. Pokemon have levels now.
Yeah, and also they're playing the Pokemon video game. They sit at a terminal and play the Pokemon video game.
It's really weird.
Stuff like this isn't really mentioned again, I don't think. So it's weird how they're like, oh, at this level it learns this. It's like, well, where'd you get these levels from?
How do you work out your levels?
Yeah, like, are they just sort of probing every single Pokemon and learning what they do at certain points?
Maybe the Pokédex has a function to check levels. It's very weird, though.
It's kind of weird and a little bit meta, and it was one thing I didn't like about this episode.
It's weird applying numbers to the Pokemon, because they seem a lot less like just statistics in the anime.
Like, I understand why they have it in the Pokemon games, because it gives you stats and things for your adventurers as you go and you get stronger. It physically shows you getting the points and getting stronger. But in the show, it really doesn't need to have that. Having a stronger dog doesn't mean you've got a level 19 dog and your friend's got a level 5 dog.
I'd be interested to know what level Ash's Pikachu is, or if it's just like got a massive special attack stat.
Giselle said it should be around level 23, was it? Something like
They
that?
must go and assess all the gym leaders to work out what levels they have. It's a weird school. But let's see, things I liked. I did quite like the battles that we had. The real ones, not the fake simulated ones.
I like the one with Misty, Starmie, and Weeping Bell, even though it was really quick.
Joe was a character.
Elaborate.
I don't know, it was just sort of there to provide exposition about the school.
At least he had a point. They could have just cut out every other kid apart from Giselle and Joe, and it would have been the exact same story.
I don't think they would have done that because back then girls weren't allowed to be strong characters. So one girl alone probably couldn't bully Joe. She had the gang though, all helping out.
I hate every single member of this gang. Why have they all got different anime hair? Just because they're different people doesn't mean they have to have the most extreme differences in hair. Have maybe 3 people who have got brown hair. I liked how Misty got angry and started stomping towards the school.
Oh yeah.
I like whenever Misty's sort of scrappy. I like whenever Misty sort of gets angry or emotional about something. It's nice to see her not sort of standing in the background and being a female character in most cartoons, because most female characters in cartoons don't do anything.
It seems a bit stereotypical though for the ginger character to be a hothead.
It could have been worse though. We could have had one of her sisters.
That is true. We could have had Mimi.
Anything else you liked?
Team Rocket's intros still haven't gotten old. I look forward to them every episode.
I shamefully say it, speak along to them.
I've not tried doing that yet.
It's good.
I still sing along to the opening song every time though.
Do you know that the motto changes?
I assumed it did at some.
It gets kind of silly after a while.
Aww. I want them to be right on the borderline between serious and silly.
So, yeah, okay. I also like Who's That Pokemon? Who is that Pokemon, Stevie?
It's Cubone.
Yes, it is. My favourite Pokemon. I'm so gutted it's in this episode, though, because I was about to swear then. It's a bad episode. This episode is awful. I hate so much stuff about this episode. The only saving grace, if Cubone wasn't in this episode, I'd probably just get even angrier at it.
I didn't really get angry at this episode.
I don't like when they have stuck-up people.
What, like Ash?
No, Ash is just kind of an idiot at times. He's not sort of... Okay, you may think he's better trainer-wise, but he doesn't look down on anybody. It bothers me how they're all... Like, it's an entire school full of people who are just looking down on everyone. It's like, oh, grow up. You're in a school.
One of them did grow up. They became a very old man and still didn't leave.
Yeah, that was so weird. I didn't get that bit. So there's a guy who's been there for so long and hasn't left.
They just can't handle the embarrassment of leaving without a diploma, so they just keep resitting the year. By the time they leave, they'll need to retire. I think we're on to things we don't like now.
I've got 2 more things we like. We've mentioned one of them, which was them playing Pokemon video games, even though this is the Pokemon TV show.
Pokescussion.
And the other one I like is when Team Rocket appear, instead of summoning Pokemon, they just throw Pokeballs at them. They don't have time to call out loads of Pokemon, they just throw loads of Pokeballs at them. I just liked that moment, it was really good. I was like, when they started throwing them, I was like, oh, I wonder who they're going to have. I bet they're going to have some sort of really cool I imagine them having lots of second stage Pokemon. No, they're just going to throw Pokeballs at them.
It would have been so funny if they'd caught Team Rocket.
Right, let's get on to things we don't like, because I'm ready. You know this episode?
Yeah.
There we go. I don't like this episode. It just really gets under my skin.
It's not that bad.
It's a filler episode. There's pointless people added in. Like, if we didn't watch this episode, nothing's changed.
They learned a lesson.
Which was...
I don't know, but the narrator says they learned a lesson.
At the moment with Pokemon, there's been maybe 3 episodes where I could say that we could have cut them out and not much would have happened. This especially is a pointless episode. I'm going to start with something nice, though, but not as nice. It's like, who dubbed Pikachu at the start of this episode?
I know, it sounded so weird.
It was super high-pitched and not Pikachu at all.
It wasn't Pikachu. They must have had a different voice actor or something. Oh, they had a cold, but they just sounded wrong.
What didn't you like, then?
Ash joins in with Brock's being a pervert.
Yeah, that's the second thing I've got. Like, Ash is 10, Brock is probably not much older, but Giselle is probably about 10, 11 as well. Please stop perving.
It's so weird.
I'm kind of okay with Brock perving on, like, Officer Jenny and Nurse Joy and stuff. Not that I'm okay with it, but it's not as bad because they're gonna be, 17 plus. So I think Brock's maybe 15, 16, so it's kind of okay, but if Brock is perving on a person who is a child, it really creeps me out.
Yeah, it just makes me really uncomfortable with Ash and Brock both being perverts.
So Joe doesn't know this one thing, and he's an embarrassment to the whole school. Can't remember what he didn't know, but it just Giselle saying, "You're an embarrassment to the whole school." It's like, is he? At least he's not an arse.
He's bottom of the class.
Yeah, but he's staying there because the questions get harder, like in real life.
What sort of school has the kids ask the questions to each other?
Like you see no parents or teachers or anybody else. Just some kids in a treadmill in a field.
The whole school is just a weird place. It doesn't make sense.
They said that they had a lesson about fog mechanics.
Yeah, it's snow training tomorrow.
It's so weird. I feel like that's a dub line. Anything else you don't like?
The fight with Pikachu and Cubone. Pikachu must have broken Cubone's neck a few times.
How?
He spins the skull that's on his head all the way round. Cubone has a snout that's in that skull, which means that his head must have gone all the way round as well.
Oh, no, don't say that. No. Well, Cubone doesn't have a giant snout.
I still think that he's just snapped the neck. Complete 180 twist on it.
No.
If you look at Cubone's design, it's the only explanation that makes sense.
It's not. Cubone's the best.
I'm pretty certain Cubone's snout comes all the way out into the nose.
No one knows what Cubone's face looks like because it never takes it off.
There's like one from the Pokemon card where you can see that his snout comes out further. So his snout's either been really crushed or his neck's been snapped in half.
You've always got to make everything awful, haven't you? It's like a thing you do.
It's supposed to be funny, but it's actually dark when they put it into practice. This cute little Cubone.
This Cubone didn't do much. It was out for one little fight, and that was about it. It wasn't really the focus of the episode. Some episodes it'll have a Pokemon which is the focus of the episode. Like Sandshrew was kind of a focus of an episode, of the episode we shall not mention. But in this one, Cubone was just there for a little bit.
Yeah, it spread the focus between a lot of the main characters quite a bit. Apart from Brock, who's still just tagging along.
And perving.
Always perving.
Okay, yeah, I don't like how Giselle is stuck up and she acts like she knows better, and she's all like, oh yeah, I'm way better than all of you. And then she uses Cubone, which is immune to Pikachu's electric attacks. Like, that's an obvious unfair advantage, and yet she's so smug to be all like, oh, I'm going to use a ground type against your water types because it's weaker. Yeah, because I'm amazing. It's like, no, Giselle, stop this.
She's just being clever.
She's not being clever. She's being stuck up.
She's using those mechanics that didn't apply a few episodes ago.
Like I said, this episode's really weird. It's closer to the game world than most episodes we've seen.
The trainer school isn't much like this, though, in the games.
It's also called Pokemon Tech, because something tech is what a hip-happening university like school is called.
I haven't got any other dislikes, really.
I don't want to keep going on about them. Favourite character and thing? Mine was Cubone. It sucks that it's in a sucky episode and that it's a dumb episode, but it's still Cubone because Cubone's really good.
I did like the battle between Pikachu and Cubone, even if it involved breaking Cubone's neck a few times. It was a good battle. It was funny and entertaining.
I've noticed the battles have been quite nice, especially compared to Digimon. The battles seem more dynamic.
Yeah, there's a lot more back and forth than there is in Digimon. So we have pretty similar favourite things.
Overall thoughts?
It was okay, I thought.
I felt like this episode could not exist and nothing would change. It is 100% filler. The plot doesn't get advanced. Nothing new is learnt. Nothing much really happens. They basically go past a school and get embroiled in that.
It amuses me how the narrator says that they learnt a lesson just because it's a pun, even though they didn't actually learn anything.
I didn't think of that. You've made this episode worse for me somehow.
It's just like the ending line is just like, they didn't learn anything.
I'm done. I'm done with this episode now.
Pokemon's done with. Let's move on to the Digimon.
The second episode we are watching is Subzero Ice Punch.
Tai and Agumon are attacked by an icy Digimon, Frigimon, who they defeat without too much trouble. The icy Digimon then helps them reach the next island with his Subzero Ice Punch. Meanwhile, Matt and Gabumon hang out in a cave while Matt recovers from hypothermia. Once Tai and Agumon have caught up, a fight breaks out between Tai and Matt as they can't decide on their next move. Suddenly, they are attacked by an icy Digimon, Mogiamon this time, who they defeat without too much trouble. During the battle, the black gears moving the island are revealed, and Garurumon breathes fire on them to get them to go the opposite direction. Don't question it.
Digimon, go monsters, Digimon are the champions. Digimon, go monsters, Digimon.
What did you like about this episode?
The amount of times that Agumon and Gabumon predict the danger. Multiple times they say something and then it immediately goes wrong.
I didn't notice that.
Just like Agumon says, he's a good Digimon, or it's a good job we're not being attacked right now, and then they get attacked. Also, there's one point when they're hanging from the cliff, Agumon in one line says, "Don't give up." And then the next shot, he's on the side of the cliff is saying, "It's hopeless." Bit of a mood swing there. It's literally 2 lines, just go straight from "don't give up" to "it's hopeless."
So wait, so the kids are hanging off that tree branch, and then like he jumps off the side to the side of the cliff to help them. Don't give up, I'll help you. It's hopeless. I didn't think of that. That's really good. So did Devimon move the mansion up to the top of Infinity Mountain, or is that a new place?
I don't know.
Because it's up on the mountain now, and it's sort of, I think it had hinted at the fact that he'd moved the mansion, but I don't know. Also, Ty calls it Friesland, and that's the name of the thing in the game. But how does he know it's called Friesland?
I didn't catch that little error. Yeah, there's no way you should know that.
Maybe it's when they searched the entire island in that one day.
And maybe there was a signpost. Maybe everything's signposted. Maybe he had little nicknames for all the places on his own doodle map.
That perfect map.
Oh, it's a shame. Would have been so useful, apart from the fact that the island's been split up into chunks now.
He could tear up the map.
Share it out with people as he finds them. Just like, oh, here's your chunk. He'd have to predict where everyone was going, which would be impossible.
Can I just take a moment to say how much I really like Frigimon in this episode? And also, design-wise, Frigimon's really cute.
It's a very simple design.
It looks so soft as well. It looks wonderful.
It's made of snow. It's going to be really crunchy.
No, I just really like Frigimon's design and seeing it in this episode. It's completely not threatening. Like, when it's chasing Ty and Agumon around, it acts all evil and angry. It's like, no, you're not. How are you in trouble from this thing? It needs to be able to physically punch you to hurt you. Just stay away from it and just say how cute it is. And also, you can see Ty holding Agumon up, and it looks like it's a struggle. And then somehow, if Agumon rolls up into a ball and gets kicked, suddenly he's as light as a ball. Surely that's not how it works.
Physics don't apply in this world. I mean, that arc, when he's rolled up, just doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't.
I'm interested to know which battle you liked best.
I've got some more things to say first. Like, 2 shakes of a Digitail. What's a Digitail, Gabumon? Please tell us.
It's just a normal tail, but in the digital world. Another thing I liked was that we saw the black gears make a Digimon bigger, which I don't think we've seen before. And that was interesting.
It shows that they've got more abilities to them than just making things angry and evil.
Mojimon shrank down to like half its size.
He's like a rookie size, which is weird because he's a champion level.
He's a Yeti.
Like, I thought it was really sweet Gabumon giving up his fur as well.
Yeah, that was nice, I guess.
Because obviously there's that running thing of no one knows what Gabumon looks like underneath. And he obviously cares about Matt that much that he put himself at risk and exposed himself just so that he can make sure that Matt's okay.
Gets a cold because of it. I'll talk about stuff that didn't make sense later on.
Like the shot of Matt that's running 3 times.
Oh, so much reused animation.
I was looking for it this time and I saw it and it made me really happy. It's literally one after the other, just 3 shots of him running, getting slightly quicker. It's so good.
The amount of reused footage in this episode is just ridiculously bad. Especially like when they're crossing the ice bridge, they use that same animation of Frigimon punching or of Ty talking.
I like how much Frigimon mentions Subzero Ice Punch. It's like the only thing he talks about.
I do like how he just wanders off. Just like, oh, I know what can solve this. I'm not going to tell you what I'm doing.
Did this episode feel like 2 episodes cut down and stuck together to you?
It felt like the same episode twice.
It sort of, for me, it felt like they'd taken 2 episodes and edited it into one shorter episode, which I feel like would have benefited a lot of the first arc of this season.
It's basically the same plot, but they do it twice in a row in one episode.
I think I preferred the Mojimon fight, because Frigimon's not a threat.
The Mojimon fight's the better Digimon fight, but the best fight in the episode is between Matt and Ty.
My favourite thing for this episode is basically like the snow and Frigimon and everything about winter. That's why I was going to talk about it. But yeah, Frigimon is not really a threat. It can freeze if it gets near to you, but also it's a snowman. It doesn't look threatening. Mojimon looks kind of intimidating. It's this fluff ball with a ranged attack, which is to throw a bone at you. I don't know. I like Frigimon. Frigimon's adorable.
I think being frozen solid would be pretty bad, though, if it happened to Ty.
But he's got a dinosaur that shoots fire. They both have Digimon that shoot fire, so...
Gabumon's flame should be hotter, really, because it's blue.
Yeah.
But it's not, because it's Digimon.
I'm all done with things I like.
Yeah, I don't have any other things I like, really, apart from the fight between Matt and Ty. It's better than any Digimon fight we've had so far.
Yeah, it was really dumb as well. Like, from the off... They're just shouting at each other for no reason. Sometimes I feel like they're trying to increase the tension, but sometimes you'll just get characters shouting for no reason at each other when they're stood right next to each other. And it's like, you're not making it any more tense, you just sound annoyed.
Well, I think Matt was really annoyed because Ty was saying they should go back to the mountain and wait for everyone else to meet up with them there. But Matt wanted to go and search the other islands and find TK as soon as possible because he was worried about him.
Well, surely the best way to do that would be to go to the main place and find a way of reversing what's happened to the islands instead of going to each and every island that's getting further and further away on the random chance that it's the one with TK.
That's not Matt's priority, though. Matt's priority is find TK.
I'm not a massive fan of Matt. Not in this season, anyway.
Bad jokes are Matt's forte. We're on to dislikes.
Agumon's description of Frigimon. It's so sluggish for some reason. It's really slowed down.
It was really funny. He's a good Digimon!
What's happening? Agumon, are you okay? You don't sound well.
Every time they meet a good Digimon, it's immediately a bad Digimon.
I think he did the same for Mojamon as well, but it sounds almost like a different voice actor, so I don't know if they'd done the lines or not. And they just wanted to find a way of getting someone in, say the lines, and just edit them to sound like the main voice actor.
It sounded really stupid. Like his brain was just going in slow motion.
This is the only thing I don't like about this episode, by the way, so I'm hoping you've got more.
I've got more things.
Good, go ahead.
Some of the jokes are really just bad, like awfully bad. Stuff like rhyming ice with mice. We're trapped like ice mice.
Oh yeah.
Who came up with that?
What are ice mice?
It doesn't matter, it rhymes, so it's funny. Laugh, Sam, laugh at it.
No, I will not laugh at the joke.
Let's see, other things. Like I said earlier, they reuse the same clips a million times, like even more so than usual.
I've tried to cut down on mentioning that, like I said it would, so I feel proud of myself for not having this in the things I don't like.
Oh, you see, I'm trying to make it super meta by mentioning that same dislike every episode. So it's like I'm reusing the same dislike, like they reuse the same footage. Other things, when Ty and Matt are having their fight, Agumon and Gabumon have left because Gabumon needs to lie down. And then they return for no reason. Why? Why are they back? I don't know why they came back, but they did.
I don't know.
It's dumb. Digimon, why are you so dumb?
I liked this episode. I thought it was kind of nice. It was kind of condensed.
It was 2 episodes for the price of 1.
Imagine having 1 episode for Ty and then 1 episode for Matt.
This was just the same episode twice, which I guess there's advantages and disadvantages to that. Like it doesn't feel stretched out, but it's also sort of rushing through it as well. At least it doesn't feel as like it's filler because they've put it all into 1 episode instead of spreading it out.
The end result of what we got here was important. They've reversed the island's direction and they're going back to the mainland to go and take their next step. And also Ty and Matt have joined up. So, important things happened in this episode.
One last thing that annoyed me though was that Matt suddenly changes his mind about what they're going to do. He didn't need convincing. He just sort of realised, just like, oh, I'm being dumb. I am a bad character. I'm going to stop that now.
I like being angry for no reason other than plot.
Sudden argument is sudden. Favourite things?
I've said that I like the snowy.
You like the snow?
We live in the UK and we don't get a lot of snow. Especially not like blankets of white snow covering stuff like nature. We don't get that a lot. It's been many years since we've had that. So it's nice to see that happen in cartoons and stuff.
I did like seeing Agumon fly through the air. That was funny and ridiculous.
Yeah, that moment was kind of dumb.
Dumb. This is the best word to describe most of the stuff that happens in Digimon. Overall thoughts?
Yeah, it was an okay episode. It was 2 episodes stuck together. I think it would have been nicer to see Frigimon destroy the Black Gear in Mojamon, instead of having them both evolving, which I felt was a little bit excessive.
I thought it was pretty bad by Digimon standards.
What, the episode?
Yeah, it was littered with bad jokes, bad animation, bad dialogue, and the plot was just half an episode's worth, but twice.
Oh no.
I didn't really like it that much.
Normally we agree on stuff, but I thought this... Okay, compared to Pokemon this week, it was a lot better.
Ooh, I don't know about that.
I will fight you for this. I'm going to have to fight you.
We've got it inverted. Wait, I thought this was pretty meh, or worse for Digimon.
Pretty meh.
And that Pokemon was okay. And just you've got it the other way around.
Yeah, I thought this was okay.
Well, we'll have to talk about this in Mono a Mono, won't we?
Shall we go to Mono a Mono then?
Yes. Now it's time for Mono a Mono, where we talk about the similarities and differences in these episodes.
So let's start with our monsters of the week. Frigimon. See, I didn't want to do Cubone, because Cubone's my favourite, but I'm that against this episode. I will quite happily not pick one of the only opportunities I get to pick my favourite Pokemon.
Oh.
Just so I don't have to involve myself with that sticky little episode.
Oh, poor Cubone's been neglected.
Again.
He's going to cry. Don't make Cubone cry, Sam.
No, don't. Stop blackmailing me emotionally.
My monster of the week, I think I will go with Starmie, because Starmie's massive. It's like almost as tall as Misty. And I didn't realise this. Starmie is pretty cool. And I like purple. And I also like it when Misty uses the evolved form instead of the not evolved form, because that's dumb.
No, because it's not just a tool to battle with. They're partners and friends. You can't just be like, oh, I won't use you, you're not strong enough. Otherwise, how's Star you going to get stronger?
Staryu doesn't have to get stronger, she's already got a Starmie.
That's awful, you're awful. Yeah, mine's Frigimon because it's a cute snowman. Right, next we need to get to the fighting words.
Okay, which episode do you think had the best storyline?
Digimon, stuff happens, plot actually happens in the episode, and there's no smug people in there.
I'd say that both were mediocre, but Pokemon's was better because Digimon's was just half an episode twice.
Like, at least plot got developed. This Pokemon episode did not need to exist.
Digimon was literally exactly the same thing, but they did it twice. It was find a Digimon, get rid of the black gear, move to the next island. And then they meet up, they find a Digimon, get rid of the black gear, and then they move to the next island.
That's fine, they got it, they shortened it down and did it twice. That's better than this entire episode not needing to happen.
Could have just put Ty and Matt on the same island in the first place.
Shoulda, woulda, coulda. What we actually have is an episode that was kind of okay, bit repetitive, but plot happened against an episode where people are kind of awful and nothing happens.
I guess you're right.
Yes! I will argue this one. I will argue this one because I'm so upset because it's got one of my favourite Pokemon. It's got literally my favourite Pokemon in it. And it's just surrounded by this miasma of trash.
Were there any similarities?
Bone clubs.
Yeah, they both had bone boomerangs.
They mentioned snow in the Pokemon episode for the next lesson or whatever. And there's also snow in the Digimon episode.
Mm-hmm. They have really dumb faces that get pulled in both of them.
I also felt, if we're going to go on to like pacing and stuff, I do feel like both of these had plots that felt stretched out.
Digimon's felt more squished down and rushed, I thought.
Well, I feel like what they did with that was they had sort of the one storyline, and they just sort of almost like they took an image and flipped it over next to itself. So the same thing happens twice. But in Pokemon, they took this one story and stretched it out over the episode. This kid isn't very good with... he's being bullied at school by a girl who thinks she's amazing. And they made that an entire episode.
Pokemon's was stretched out more, but that's because it had pretty much, I don't know, the same amount of plot as Digimon, except it wasn't squashed down and repeated twice.
If you took the actual plot of Pokemon and the plot of Digimon for these two episodes and put them next to each other, they would both have the same amount of footage and story. But what they did to make them longer was one of them stretched it out and the other one just doubled the story.
Yeah, it's hard to decide which one's better for me.
Digimon, I'm going to say it's Digimon this week, purely because plot happens. In this episode, we've made a new friend, or two new friends kind of. We've had two of the kids reunite, and they've turned the direction of their island back to Fire Island, and we know what they're going to do next, which is they're going to go and find a way to do that for the rest of the islands and find the kids. In Pokemon, we don't know where they're going next. We don't know what they're doing next. They didn't do anything at this episode. The narrator says they learned a lesson. What did they learn? They didn't learn anything this episode. Giselle learned something, learned to not be smug, and that was through a battle. Do you want to defend Pokemon? Because I'm saying the point should go to Digimon this week.
It's hard to defend Pokemon because both of the episodes are pretty mediocre this week. I think I enjoyed Pokemon more.
I think I'm really biased for this episode because of the Cubone.
Because Cubone was slaughtered.
Cubone's allowed to lose. It's just not allowed to be surrounded by an awful plot. But I feel like Digimon has it because they have advanced the plot a little bit.
Yeah, I think this was a pretty bad week for both.
Yeah, it was.
You've won me over. I'll give it to Digimon, reluctantly.
Yes! That means the score is 5-4 to Pokemon. Yeah, that's so good, though. That's only one away.
I don't want Digimon to win because we like Digimon more. I want Digimon to win because it's better.
I feel like it's nice because it means that one isn't obviously trouncing the other one because, as you said before in the earlier one in the episode, a lot of people say that Digimon has the better TV show. But at the moment, it seems to be that they're both kind of similar at the moment. It's going to be good to see where it is, maybe 50, 60 episodes down the line.
We'll see what it is at the end of the first season. That'll be a really interesting score. And I don't know if we'll probably keep track of the score across each season and across the whole thing overall.
Yeah, I think we'll reset with every season, but we'll always have the final scores at the end of each season we can add up. So we'll have a total for everything, but then a total for the season as well.
Well, everything not counting the Pokemon episodes that we've skipped, because we can't compare them to nothing.
Pacing wise, if you look at a season of Digimon, kids save the world every season. What has Ash done in that entire time? It's interesting to see sort of what he's going to do from watching episode 1 of Adventure and Pokemon. Where's he going to be 50-something episodes from now when the kids go back to Japan in the trolley car going into the sun? At what point is he in his journey? And also, it'll be nice to see what time has passed as well, because for Pokemon, it seems almost like that at least a day passes each episode. But with Digimon, obviously, it's less time.
Sometimes whole weeks pass that we don't know about. Anyway.
Yeah, I'm done with this.
Yeah, the point's gone to Digimon reluctantly. They were both pretty meh, but Sam's convinced me.
Join us again next time where we will be watching episode 10.
A Clue from the Digipast and Bulbasaur and the Hidden Village.
You can subscribe to the Moncast on Soundcloud, Stitcher and iTunes. And if you'd like to leave us an iTunes or Stitcher review, we'd be really grateful.
You can find our social media on Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, and with the Will forums if you search for the Moncast.
Or you can email us at themoncastpodcast@gmail.com.
Make sure to contact us if you want anything mentioned on the show, and we'll cover it in the next Admonistration segment.
Thanks for listening, and goodbye.
Bye!
Bye! You need to send me the updated one on Skype or on Slack because I've got it on my phone, haven't I? I've got it in there. Don't get mad at me.
I have to do this every time. Okay, I'm gonna send you.
I've got it. I'm
sending you the new files, those you could get them later.
Thank you. Okay.
Give
Join
me
us again. It's episode 10, aren't we? Isn't it? It's
Yes.
Episode 10. Okay.
It's a good job I'm on the ball.
I know. It's just really warm.